Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is CA Sanchit Agarwal and I'm the founder and mentor at Finthink. So Finthink is a technology-driven educational institute committed to the advancement and success of our students to empower the educational mission of schools, colleges and universities in the field of finance. In this unprecedented situation, to make the best use of the time in quarantine, Finthink is hosting a series of free webinars for students interested in finance field across the nation with the vision to benefit maximum students in shaping their career pathway. So on a Chartered Accountancy course is organized by Finthink in collaboration with J&K branch of NIRC of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So now I will brief you about the webinar and how you can ask queries related to the webinar. So in the bottom of your screen, you can find out a question and answer tab. Along with it, there is a chat option. During the session, if you have any queries related to the topic, you can ask your queries in that. So if we will try to resolve it during the session only. If not, we will conduct another question answer round at the end of the session and we will try to resolve maximum queries. I'll like to say Nakul Saraf to proceed with introducing the speaker.
Thank you, Sanjay. On behalf of ICI, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all the participants and my dear colleagues. I would also like to welcome CA Brij Bhushan ji, who shall be the speaker for today's webinar. Brij Bhushan ji has been born and brought up in Chandigarh. First 10 years of his professional life, he has served as a banker, where he last served as a senior vice president in Yes Bank in 2009. After that, he has been practicing as a chartered accountant with expertise in the area of specifically taxes. Brij Bhushan ji is a part of executive committee of Chandigarh branch of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the last 5 years. He was in fact the chairman of the branch in the year 2019. Apart from his professional excellence, he has also excelled in sports and was a proud national player of football and a state player of cricket as well. Sir, we always look forward towards a mentor like you.
Thank you so
Now
much.
I request Sanchit Agarwal to take up the proceedings.
Sir, I request you to kindly start with the webinar.
Morning, everyone. This is CA Brij Bhushan Sharma. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Jammu branch for taking such great initiative in the quarantine time to make the best possible utilization of this time for the people who are inclined towards financial sector and the financial stream. Worthless to say that such an initiative goes a long way in guiding the career lines of lots of youngsters in the times to come. I specifically wish to mention my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Chartered Accountant Lalit, the chairman of Jammu branch, CA Shailay Razdan, the immediate past chairman, CA Nakul, CA Sanchit, and all the other executive members and the office bearers of Jammu branch. Well, this initiative of taking on these webinars for people who are keen on taking up finance as their career is a great initiative, especially for the youngsters who I personally feel for whom this is extremely imperative to understand what are the career options available with all of them at this point in time to take a conscious decision of where do they wish to go from here on when it comes to taking up life's challenges as a professional. There are different options, many of the options available for youngsters in commerce stream predominantly. However, due to lack of guidance, some people do not reach where they could reach or where they intend to reach or where they could do much better than what they can do otherwise. Am I audible to all? Nakul, Sanchit, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was just saying that it's a great initiative by the branch to guide youngsters. I extend my welcome to all the participants on this webinar as well. And let us go forward and take it up in terms of why chartered accountancy. You see, when I was of your age, most of the times that we used to talk about the commerce career, most of the people would opt for masters in business and administration because that was the wave at that point in time. The knowledge of people at that point in time was not that high, and even the awareness was not that as well to get to know that what can we do in terms of the career options when it comes to chartered accountancy. One thing which I'm very, very sure and particular about, and which most of you would connect to me on precisely, would be the fact that when you talk about chartered accountancy, which per se is considered to be one of the most difficult courses, professional courses in the curriculum of commerce field, is being represented by majority of students coming from middle class families. I believe most of you would agree to this. Uh, the chartered accountancy is a curriculum which is being opted by most of the people coming from middle class families for the reason that I would discuss with you during the course of this webinar. There are multiple reasons that why is it that we represent the middle class families majorly in chartered accountancy. But before that, I'm sure that most of you would want to understand that commerce as a stream give you a lot of options, not only in BBA, MBA, law graduation. The different other options available are in insurance industries these days. Financial analysts, so on and so forth. But the major benefits that I look at, and which are the truth, is that this is one of the professional degrees which is available immediately after 10 plus 2. So for the people who wish to get into a professional line early in life, would want to make the best possible use of their time immediately after 12th. Unlike MBA, which is a professional degree which you get to enter after your graduation only, if you wish to settle down early in life, and if you think that you can cope up with your education, if you can put in that amount of hard work, if you are so committed to your books, and if you want to make it big in life, you would always want to be the first mover, and you would want to take it up as early as possible. So chartered accountancy is a professional course which is available immediately after your 10 plus 2 curriculum, along with your graduation. I'm sure Sanchit and Nakul are youngsters and they can guide you much well. You would see, generally you would see that an MBA graduate comes out of the institute or the college probably around 22, 23 years of age. Whereas if you are a chartered accountant, if you opted for this chartered accountancy course after the 10 plus 2 and foundation, you can qualify as a professional within the time span which is much earlier, as in by 21 you could be a professional who's a chartered accountant, because that's the youngest age that we can crack chartered accountancy at. So the first benefit of joining chartered accountancy, which I see from my perspective, is that it is immediately after plus 2. I believe the cost and work accountants and the company secretaryship have also started foundation curriculum after following the footsteps of chartered accountancy. So the first benefit of YCA is that it's an option available after 10 plus 2. The second very interesting point, which most of the people in India are not even aware of, which comes up as a benefit of chartered accountancy, I look at it as a benefit because this is a curriculum which is based on self-studies. There is no formal college or university where you go and get a professional qualification degree or the classes for chartered accountancy. Now, I would wish to relate to this to a story which I will discuss with you in a while. But the point is, self-studies module will help us to develop a habit of hard work at the initial stages. See, most of you would agree with me that the most important aspect of life is to develop a habit of hard work. So the youngsters, this is something for the students who think that they can develop this habit of self-studies, they can develop this habit of hard work into them. This would be a course for those kinds of students. Nevertheless, more or less, I would say that definitely there are different coaching institutes which are there in the market. There are online curriculums which are available. There are online classes which are available. However, unless you think that you have a habit or you could develop a habit of self-study, this is something which cannot be taught in the class. I would try to relate it to a very small story that there once upon a time there was two neighbors who were interested in gardening and wanting to sample, to develop a sample into a tree. So there was one rich guy and there was one humble guy, both of them sharing a common wall. So they implanted both the trees, both samples to their grounds and started nurturing it as to see it coming up as a tree. Now the rich guy would give the proper manure, proper water, proper taking care of the thing, whereas the poor guy could only give it the basic requirements of some water and some manure and leave it to time. After a while, what happened is that there is a hurricane which comes to that area. Now what happens is both those people, they sail through that hurricane time, and in the morning they come out to see the status of their plants. What they see is that the rich guy's plant has come down and the poor guy's plant is still standing tall. So the rich person is very amazed to see this. He talks to the poor guy and says that I treated my plant much, much better. I gave it everything that it required to nurture and to grow. However, what I see is that my plant has fallen down and your plant is there. Now the poor guy tells him that, see, buddy, you gave it everything which it required to grow, so you did not give it the power to self-sustain itself and implant itself to the roots. It did not get strength to the roots. I would connect it in the same way, whereas the poor guy said that I gave it some amount of energy, whereas I left it to itself to strengthen itself and go back to its roots to grow in the life to come. Now, when you compare it to a law curriculum or an MBA curriculum or a BBA curriculum, what I see in those classes, you are nurtured with everything by the teachers and hence you do not develop your own skill set. CA as a curriculum would give you an option to actually stick to the roots, to develop a habit of hard work, to develop a habit of self-study, which is the main driving force of all these successful people in the world, right? And that is precisely the reason that I feel that CA as a curriculum for the people who can work hard, for the people who can nurture themselves, for the people who are willing to take the wrath of time, banging their heads time and again into the books, consulting different friends and coming up with the solutions finally, which are going to stay with you for the times to come. So my idea is why I personally chose chartered accountancy, and I think it is better option for the students for the times to come is that it develops you as a human being. It's not only a professional degree, but it develops you as a human being. Another thing which is very, very important, which I personally feel is that it's something which improves you on this curriculum is something which gives you an option to improve yourself on a day-to-day basis. I would come to that on at a later stage, but before that, the benefits. Why chartered accountancy at this time? The third point, which I feel, which is again extremely important and imperative to be discussed at that point in time, is that this is probably for all the charters who are on this webinar with me would agree with me on that this would probably be the only curriculum which would be the most cost effective in all the professional degrees available across the globe today. If you go by my words and if you want to verify it, you can very well go online and check it out that the entire curriculum of chartered accountancy, right from foundation to the clearance of chartered accountancy as a full-fledged chartered accountant, would be a matter of a few thousand rupees and not even a lakh odd rupees. Whereas if you go into any BBA, MBA, law degree, it calls for lakhs of rupees to be paid as fee. Now, my point is, I'll be very, very honest to you. When I took up chartered accountancy, it was probably the time when most of the people were not even aware of. But for me, this was the only reason to get into chartered accountancy. Coming from a humble background, a lot of people have a lot of inhibitions. How would they cope up with the management, colleges and institutes? Because MBA degrees are a little expensive, I would say. And that is precisely, if you go back to my initial discussion when I started up this conversation, was that this chartered accountancy curriculum is being attended by most of the middle class families. And now you can connect as to why I was saying middle class families. Because there is a dearth of resources. The only thing that we are nurtured with, we are grown up with, is a development of hard work, the connect to the families, the concern for them, and the zeal to make it big. Now, each one of you, in today's scenario, you have lots of research options. You are very well tech savvy to Googles and all those things. I'm sure, I'm sure you would understand and appreciate the fact that no professional degree across the globe, when I say across the globe, I vouch for it, across the globe is so cost effective, yet giving you the highest of respect and reward in the society, in the economy, in all the professional platforms, on all the professional platforms in this world. So for the people who represent middle class families the way I do, I believe this is the option for those people to come forward and opt for. I would wish I would wish to discuss and compare the chartered accountant, the cost accountant, the works accountant, the company secretaries as well. And I would wish to tell you that before getting into chartered accountancy, I initially personally had got into company secretaryship. I cleared its foundation, cleared its inter, and then came to know that even if I complete my company secretaryship, it would not be as respectable as chartered accountancy, and hence I switched from CS to CA. It's a complete course which gives you, a great exposure in all fields, including the costing also, the financials also, direct taxation, indirect taxation, financial plannings, so on and so forth, which we can discuss in the times to come. Now, another aspect which is very important to understand for the people who have a knack of getting into the intricacies, would want to appreciate and understand the fact that if we see within our own friend circle and relations, around the society that we have, you would see that each one of you would have at least 5, 7, 10 people who are either doctors or engineers or lawyers. But if I ask all the participants of this webinar, how many of you would have the family representatives as chartered accountants? I am sure you would agree that the number would be very minimal. Now, what does this depict? I want to try and I want to take your attention towards the number of chartered accountants in India and abroad as on date. Just to share with all the youngsters today that I'm proud to say that even after 70 years of independence, almost 70 years of our existence, the number of chartered accountants across the world, which represents the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, is less than 350,000. It is much less than 350,000. Now, if you understand, every year engineering colleges in India produce more than 500,000 engineers. The doctorate colleges produce more than 200,000 doctors every year. But the chartered accountants in the last 70 years has not even crossed 350,000. So each one of you can understand the amount of respect associated to this professional degree when you tell somebody that you are a chartered accountant. It takes you to a different level of confidence, and you would realize and relate to the fact that the amount of respect that a chartered accountant gets is by far a very different level than most of the other professions in this world and in the country. I wish to discuss with you as well that if you see the options available, the next point, which is a very important point for each one of you to understand, is why chartered accountancy? Why is it that people think that it is the most respected? Why is it that people think that it is the most rewarded? Why is it that there are so few people who are available who are pursuing this career? The foremost point, as I told you, is that only people who are competent to work that hard are the people who get into this. It's not a cakewalk. So I am not discouraging you, but I am guiding you to be very confident that you should come into this degree if you are committed to work that hard. Now, the biggest benefit of chartered accountancy here, this is the only professional degree which gives you an option to either get into a corporate job, get into a job, or start up your own profession. Like an MBA, you would hardly see any MBA who's a professional and who has his own office set up. Most of the professionals, whether they are in finance, they are in marketing, they are in HR, broadly, you would see that most of the people are in corporate life. And even after working that hard, what they are thinking of, the higher they grow, the higher the pyramid gets narrower, and hence the insecurity of retaining the job. Now, if you connect that to today's scenario, or maybe go back to January 2008, which most of you might not be even aware of, the burst of Lehman Brothers, people who were the MBAs from Harvard's, Oxford's, and the best management institutes were given pink slips for no reason just because the economy collapsed. And exactly the same scenario happening today. Now you prepare yourself till the +2, then you get into a good institute for your graduation, and then the best possible institute to get into a professional degree of master's. And God forbid if the economy collapses for one reason or the other, which is beyond the thoughts and the holdings of people, the people who get axed are the people who are in job, right? Be it whatever level. Now, chartered accountancy is the only option which gives you, it's the only professional degree which gives you an option whether you wish to get into a corporate job or you want to get into a profession of your own. Talking about the corporate job, the kind of openings that a chartered accountancy degree gives you is probably in the accounts and finance department, which is the CFO. You must have heard of a lot of people being the CFO of big time, middle time, and the small time firms. Then you can get into consultancy as a consultant or being an employer in a big legal firm or a financial firm or a consultancy firm. You could get into a job in auditing department. You can get into a job with big taxation firms and get an employment there. You could be a banker. You're very well welcome as a banker being a chartered accountant, especially in the field of treasury management for the girls. The girls, they're majorly in India, whatever said and done, we come with a mindset that girls should not be going out. Though it's not a very progressive thinking, but yes, in some families, this still prevails. So if there is a girl candidate who is wanting to do well in life and wants to settle down in a good job, you can look at chartered accountancy and hence be placed with a bank and a financial institution, audit firm, corporate finance, investment banking, so on and so forth, for a great opportunity as a chartered accountant. The other job options available, I'm talking about the broad view, are include in public sector companies, the oil and natural gas and all those public sectors, the firms and the companies in different paradigms, which can give you an option. Then we have option with risk evaluation, IRDA, broadly taking up chartered accountancy to understand the risk evaluation methods also, which is a very, very great opening at this point in time for the youngsters. Not to say the mutual funds, the stockbroking firms, they love to employ chartered accountants because, as a chartered accountant, you have a great analytical strength. You develop uh, the niche on working towards your financial analysis of the situation, financial analysis of comparison between different options available. So these are just a few corporate job scenarios available if you pursue chartered accountancy. And if you do not wish to be in a job and you want to set up something of your own, you might as well get into practice. Now, I'm sure the youngsters who know a little bit about chartered accountancy or other brethren on this webinar like Nakul, Sanchit, and Lalit would agree with me that even the professional opportunities wherein you can operate on your own office are immense these days, which includes the practice in direct taxation and indirect taxation majorly, which me and you understand it broadly. Income tax, you can, uh, uh, Sanchit, you have to guide me. Is everybody comfortable more in English or should I speak up in Hindi as well?
Yeah,
Unmuted.
yes, everyone is comfortable in English, I guess.
All right, that's wonderful. So what I was saying is, if you wish to get into practice, then you have options to get into income tax practice. You can get into GST practice. You can get into transfer pricing. You can get into accounting. You can get into auditing. And auditing in itself is a very, very broad perspective. Within auditing, there could be some people who are wanting to be into forensic audits, who are wanting to getting into the systems audits, the statutory audits, the internal audits. When you talk about MBA and you talk of people who do not have a very extensive skill set, or they are not very comfortable in moving out and talking to different people, they are the people who look at MBA finance. But when you talk about MBA finance and you compare it on merits to CA, I bet most of you would agree with me that CA is far, far, far more superior in intellect. I am an MBA finance myself as well. So you would trust me when I tell you that I did my MBA after doing my CA. When I was doing my CA, parallelly I started my MBA also, because I always used to think, I was a banker back then, and I thought that as a banker MBA makes more sense. But then when I used to take my exams of MBA, I used to think it is a cakewalk, because having done your CA, the curriculum of MBA you would evaluate is not even 40% to what we read as what we go through as a curriculum in chartered accountancy. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you get into CA vis-a-vis the other professional degrees like MBA, definitely if you work hard for initial years of your life, the kind of bandwidth that you operate on, the amount of respect that you earn today is much, much, much more, than any other degree. I'm not taking the credit away from people who are into MBA. I'm not trying to desell MBA. Please don't take me wrong. But I am here to tell you, how is chartered accountancy better than other options available for the commerce student, like a lawyer, like an MBA, like any other professional course that a commerce degree offers to you. In your own practice, you could get into being, you can get associated with legal firms. The new concept which is coming up is CA and law firm, which is going to be a one-stop shop for the times to come for people who are into different bigger businesses. They are looking at one authority, one organization, one company, which could take all the legal and financial aspects into consideration at one point in time. So if you're looking at that perspective also, again, CA makes more sense than any other professional stream available in the commerce vertical. Financial planning is also one great option, which most of the youngsters would agree with me is coming up, because a lot of chartered accountants are taking up their own portfolios or into financial planning of people, hence opening a great vertical and option for the people to come. I am sure the people who are a little bit economy savvy would try and understand, and they would agree with me that in India is probably one of the only country which used to offer a lot of interest rates on FDs and other investment options vis-a-vis the developed economy. Now, in the times to come, what we foresee is that these interest rates are going to come down, and people would be more open to their investments in the markets, in the equity markets and the debt markets, so on and so forth. So if you are a chartered accountant and you have interest in such wealth management or portfolio management analysis work, then when you go to a client, trust me, I have been a banker also, and I am into practice also. When you go to a client and you tell them that I am a chartered accountant, you would agree with me that the reliance on your words is far, far higher than anybody else, because of the respect associated, the knowledge associated to this degree, and the interpretation by the society at large of chartered accountants being great financial analysts. I'm sure, Sanchit, you are 2018 pass out. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, 2018. When I was a banker, Sanchit, I'm just trying to tell you, when I was a banker, when I would go and talk to a HNI client, which is high net worth client, regarding the banking relations also, and when you tell them that you're a chartered accountant, you would trust me that 70% of the clients would say that we don't need to ask anything else because you're a chartered accountant, so you are not a salu person. Can you understand my point? The
Yes,
MBAs are perceived to be people who are masters in marketing and sales. However, chartered accountants are always perceived to be people on whom the reliance is extremely high. They are men of their words. People expect chartered accountants to be well versed not only with the financial analysis, but with the taxation point of views, the overall economic development, the far-sightedness, and hence it's much easier to have a trust on a person who comes with a degree as high as chartered accountancy. Shelley, do you agree with me? I'm sure even in your career you would have seen a lot of things like that.
Absolutely, I do agree. Whatever you're saying, Brij, it's been. I would like to just share to the participants that one thing you just said that we are. You also done MBA Finance yourself, and you can just compare both the courses, CA as well as MBA Finance. I would just like to quote one of the quotes of Mr. Ratan Tata. He had once said that I need MBAs to run my business, but I need CAs to teach the MBAs how to run their businesses.
Exactly,
So,
exactly, exactly. So a
so
person,
absolutely, I do agree with you. And as far as you have been there, you've seen both the aspects of the corporate life as well as the practice. So you can there are wonderful opportunities available to all the students who join this course. They can go to the corporate sector. They can come to the practice. Same is the case with me. I can also share with the students that I have been also I worked in the corporate sector as well initially during my and I worked in three sectors. I worked in the government sector initially after I did my CA. Then I got an opportunity to work in the manufacturing sector, and finally I also worked in the service sector in the telecom industry, and then I came to
practice.
chartered accountancy practice. So there are various opportunities which are available to all the students whoever wishes to join this course. So it's got a lot of variety for all of us. I just request you to just continue on because you
You know
are.
what, Shelley, you are exactly, you precisely quoted what Mr. Ratan Tata, probably the most respected businessman, not only in India. He's one of the most respected businessmen across the globe. It is a very, very right thing that he quoted, that I need MBAs to run my business, but I need CAs to guide them as to how to run the business. Why and where does this quote come from? We need to understand that the analytical skill set which is being possessed by the chartered accountant, basis the curriculum that he's prepared with, gives him a niche insight and an edge to not only understand how to do business, but to understand the hidden aspects of business as well. Now, when you see and anybody who's reasonable enough tries and understand, please don't take me wrong. I'm again, reiterating the fact that do not think that I'm trying to desell any profession. I'm just trying to give you an insight on what the edges of chartered accountancy are. In one of the discussions of the biggest, CEOs and CFOs of the Fortune 500 companies, one of the big industrialists or a global giant asked the people that what is it that you do during your work, and the outcome of that discussion was that MBAs are generally doing man management. They are not doing anything which is related to improvisation on their skill set in terms of knowledge, in terms of finance handling, in terms of looking at the back end of the working of all the balance sheets. Because you would understand, all of you need to understand the fact that business is actually not what is being projected on the screen. Business is the back end of the businesses which come and which you're able to see. Now, if you are not an analytical person, if you are not a person who understands not only about the books of accounts, the balance sheets, the audit aspects, the direct tax implications, the GST implications, no other professional from a commerce stream can understand all these aspects in that intricate a manner that a chartered accountant can. And I bet each one of you would agree with me. Now, when I come back to the scenario which is going on in today's world, what I hear from people who've been with me in the bank in the last 30 days, First 15 days went well, but during the last 15 days, I would have received a call from almost 10 colleagues of mine who are either at a regional position or at a national position, stating that if it continues, banks are going to issue pink slips to most of the senior management people for no reason and rhyme of them. Please try and understand that at an age of 40, 45, 50, when you are at the fag end of your professional life and you're trying to see yourself giving the best to your kids in terms of their education, their settlement, their marriage, and all that stuff, there is something which happened somewhere in the world, impacting the whole world, hitting the profitability. When you hit the bottom line, the only way of sustaining the business the organization feel is to cut cost. And when you cut cost, the top pyramid is the first to move out. So my point is the kids today should always opt for a business vertical or an educational vertical, I'm sorry, which would give them an opportunity to do something of their own rather than getting into a job. Now, why is it that China or Japan per se, why is it that they are the business leaders in the terms that they are? It is only because the habit that they have developed in themselves, habit of doing something of their own. If you see any Chinese family, if you see this community, if you go to any of the big cities in the world, you would always see a Chinatown. Even though we are the second largest in the world, why is it that we nowhere see an India town? It is because the Chinese have entrepreneurial skills. Even if they want, they would do small time businesses rather than getting into a job for somebody else. So when you get into something of your own, not only that you are placing a brick every day to the house that you're making for yourself, which would never ever go away unless you go grossly wrong or you kick it down yourself. Whereas in a job, you would do 20 years of hard work, 25 years of hard work, and you do not know when the organization shows you the door, saying that your efficiency has reduced with the passage of time, and there are lesser cost effective employees or resources available with the market with bigger zeal. So what I'm trying to say is, in chartered accountancy, if you opt for a profession, the higher you grow in age, the more your earning capacity increases. Whereas in jobs, the higher you go in age and in experience, the more insecurity increases in terms of losing that job. So this is something which all the youngsters, need to understand and imbibe when they think of choosing a professional career or they choose a career option for themselves with the educational background that they are looking at. I hope each one of you is able to understand what I'm trying to say. I am a great vouch of, of entrepreneurial skill set. When I left banking chalet, Nakul and Sanchit and Lalit, all those who are available from the committee, when I left banking, I was senior vice president, as you told me, and I left at a very, very healthy package by that time. And most of the people, I would not say most of, barring my mother, everybody said that I am not committing a mistake, I'm committing a blunder of leaving the job. Because the kind of ESOPs that I had at that point in time would have made me a multi-crore person by now, almost 7 months back, if I look at the perspective. But now what happened to Yes Bank during the last 7 months? People who were living on ESOPs, their ESOPs value fell down from 1600 rupees to meager 100 rupees. If you see the split value, and to exercise those ESOPs, those people had borrowed money from banks to exercise their ESOPs. Now somebody who had a ESOP strength of around 15 crores has come down to 50 lakhs today. And he has a debt to repay, which is worth probably a crore and a half. So my point is, when you get into a job, God forbid somebody gets into an issue like that. Now all those people had nothing to do with what has happened with Yes Bank. Somebody sitting in Bombay did something which took a turn which was not expected to turn, and then all of them are in a soup. Now, one way they have debt on their head, second way all their investments are gone for a toss. Three, they have given 25 years to a job and they cannot get a job anywhere else. Four, all of their kids are probably into college or at a marital stage, so they are going through the toughest time. My discussion with all the youngsters here is, I am trying to tell you that you should always opt for a professional degree which gives you an edge to start up something of their own rather than only looking at job. Gone are the days when jobs used to be secure. Now, person who's a professional, person who has the skill set, person who is willing to work hard is the person who is going to be making the most of the money in the times to come as a professional. And I'm sure each one of you would agree with me with passage of time. Now, another very, very important aspect which I was talking to you was the number of chartered accountants till date that India and the Institute of Chartered Accountant has produced. Now, as I told you, that the number is almost less than 3.5 lakhs in the last 70 years, out of which almost 90,000 chartered accountants have gone abroad and settled down abroad. Now, you need to understand that if almost 30% of the people have gone abroad, basis this degree, you can very well understand the acceptability of this degree across the globe. Especially now, the Chartered Accountants Institute is in process of tying up with lots of other countries wherein you can go and start up your practice as an India Chartered Accountant qualified right from the day one. In some countries, you have to take one exam or two, and then you're good to practice there as a CPA. And I would request all the youngsters to kindly browse the status of CPA, CGA, or a chartered accountant across the developed countries' economies. You look at US, you look at Canada, you look at Australia, you look at Europe. The CPA and CGA is undoubtedly one of the highest rewarded degrees in terms of their earning capacity, in terms of their respect, in terms of their reliance of the society on the people. All this I am just trying to brief you because this is something which we were never aware of when we got into chartered accountancy. But it's a blessing that as we are growing, we are understanding, we are realizing that the institute is tying up with a lot of countries to give a lot of mileage to the Indian qualified chartered accountants. And for those who are already into graduation would try, understand, and relate to what I'm saying is that when you go through the books in your graduation, sometime in taxation or in accounts or in audits, you would see problems in your books of accounts, which they refer as a question from CPA Canada, a question from CPA, CGA UK. You know, the status, the quality of education that we impart here in India, when you go through a professional curriculum of CA, is so high that these countries feel elated to have chartered accountants in their economies contributing towards their economic development. So I'm just trying to brief you on the positioning of Indian chartered accountancy across the globe, which is very, very important to understand that this is an internationally recognized, internationally acclaimed degree, which gives you a mileage to work in those economics right from the day one. Now you compare it to a doctorate or an engineering also, unless you go and upgrade yourself for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years curriculum, you are not in a position to work on your own. However, with the tie-ups of Institute of Chartered Accountants across the globe, the opportunities are far more. The time consumed to get into a professional aura is far less, and hence it gives you a great mileage. So there is another quote which I am able to recollect because a lot of the commerce students wish to opt for LLB also. So unquote or quote in a lighter note is that people say that there are two things in life which are very, very difficult to come across. One is that you would is that passing CA is difficult thing, and failing in law is a very difficult thing. So you can understand when a quote is made, that is basis some backgrounds. Barring the good law institutes like NLUs and the prestigious universities, which are again classroom structured, people back in the day used to think that somebody who cannot do anything would do law. Things have changed now. I am not saying that it has not. Definitely, the law has come up really as a great professional, opportunity for a lot of people also. But if you see the thought process of people regarding chartered accountants, right from the day one, when the institute came up in 1949 till date, the prestige involved, the respect involved in chartered accountancy is far, far, far higher. One more thing which I am very, very pushy about, and I wish to share with you, is that that's something which has more to do with your thought process as a person, as a human being. Now, I am a little religious parent of mine people, and I feel that most of the, and it is being quoted also in some of our seminars by senior members as well, that in most of the professional degrees, you make money when there is a drastic downfall or a setback in the society. Like doctors make money when there are a lot of there are problems, when there is a lot of issue in terms of health of people. The lawyers make money when there is a lot of litigation, so on and so forth. But a chartered accountancy makes money when people need help in terms of growth of the economy. A chartered accountant grows when the economy grows, when the nation grows. And hence, for people who have a bent of mind towards patriotism also, should think that chartered accountancy is a course which help you to contribute towards your economy, towards your nation. It is very, very imperative to say that the chartered accountants are considered by the government itself. They are recognized as partners in nation building. So there is a logic behind it, that we as chartered accountants, when you think of chartered accountancy as a degree and you take it up, the value addition that you get, and in terms you give it back to the society, is so immense that the highest authorities, the prime ministers, the president, they acknowledge it, that chartered accountants have been the partners in nation building. These are the broad aspects which I wanted to share with you all regarding why should you choose chartered accountancy. If you have any specific questions which you would want to discuss and maybe take it up with me, you're most welcome to get back to CA Nakul or CA Sanchit, who can take down your queries or pass on my number to you so that we can touch base with each other and maybe give you the better solution to your queries and questions. I think broadly that is all from my end initially, and I'm looking forward to have lots of people coming up in chartered accountancy as a career. I wish all of you great safety in these tough times, and request you all to kindly come forward with whatever best you can do for the needy people around you wherever you all. Be safe, be good, and thank you so much for your patient hearing to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm definitely sure it was a very valuable session for all of us, and especially for those who are into the verge of deciding their career path.
Exactly.
We are always committed to serve each and every student with one-on-one conversation. Even the sir is rightly available for each one of you. If you have any queries specifically to ask, you can ask right now. You can. We will share our contact details. You can definitely get into touch with us. Now, I would like Chairman of J&K branch of ICAI, CA Lalit Kumar ji, to address all the participants.
Hello to all young friends and students. We have with us today students from various CBSE schools like DPS, Jodamal Public School, Heritage School, Nagbani School, and JK Public School. So, due to limitation of seats, all of you could not attend today's webinar. So, please say my hello to all your friends and classmates who are not attending this webinar, but do tell them about this professional course. More webinars will take place in future also. A very good afternoon to today's guest speaker, CA Brij Bhushan Sharma ji, and my friend and colleague in executive committee, CA Shalle Razdan, CA Nakul, and the young team of Finthink. Friends, CA Brij Bhushan ji has given you all the aspects and prospects of CA professional. Friends, there is no limit of success for this course, and more you work hard, more you will be successful. There are some procedural aspects also with regard to this course. We can say that there are 3 stages. One is the foundation, the other is inter stage, and the third one is final stage. So everything is available on the portal of institute, which is self-service portal, and you can log in there and you can study there. You can see the procedural things there, and at the same time you can get registered there. And institute has also launched a ICI learning hub, where you can download your material, you can download the books, you have material regarding CA, and all the books, journals, and everything is there. So, like as explained by CA Brij Bhushan ji, that it's a self grooming course, and institute is also going like that, and everything is available on this self service portal, which is SSP portal. CA, I also want to bring one more information to your notice for students of Jammu and Kashmir, that as explained by CA, today's speaker, this CA course is very cheap course, and it hardly, I think 64,000, in 64,000 you can complete the whole course. But for CAs of Jammu and Kashmir, 75% discount has been given by the institute, and if you registered before 30th June, you can avail this benefit and of 75%. Friends, we at branch, Jammu and Kashmir branch is always available to you. You can come, and at any time you can ring us, or my staff and colleagues are always there to help you. We will be more than happy to solve your queries. Our branch is, our head office is at ICI Canal Road. We were due to open 2 more offices, in one in Srinagar and one in Ladakh, but due to this lockdown, due to COVID-19, they are postponed now. But we will open them after June, hope so. So please, at last, I would like you to stay home, stay safe, and follow all the advisories of administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit sir. That was a really motivational speech for all of them. Now I would like to Shelly sir, would you like to address the students?
I think thank you, Sanchit. I think most of the aspects have been covered by the learned speakers here before me. CA Brij Bhushan ji and CA Lalit Kumar Gupta ji also has taken up the issues as far as the state of J&K is concerned. I just wanted to add one thing. Lalit ji just said that there is a discount which is available to the students of J&K, which has been announced by ICI recently. But this discount is also available for the students, the wards of the armed personnel also. So the students, the children of armed personnel, they can also, even the paramilitary forces which are included there, they can also avail this special discount in the CA course, and it becomes a free of cost course for these students. Also, the ICI also has some scholarships also, which are given to the students of this course. So I would request all the students, participants who are watching this program, that they can go ahead with this wonderful course. Our course only used to, although I was just going through some of the participants, they were comparing our course like MBA along with CA. It's absolutely the choice of the student and the interest which a student has. We cannot force somebody to join a course. It always depends upon his learning. What area of interest does he have? But what I wanted to say was that chartered accountancy courses, if you compare it with an MBA course, we only lack one thing which is lacking is the formal education system. And there, what you get, even Brij also agrees with me. I've heard him say once about this, that we were not, chartered accountants were not very much, they were not able to converse well. They were not put across their ideas as effectively as they wanted to. For that, our institute has also made some tie-ups with a lot of good MBA institutes across the country. And we have also, within our educational system, we have developed some good,
Curriculum, yes.
we have an general management and communication skills program, which is imbibed in our course to do away with this shortcoming of a course which we earlier used to have. Apart from that, we are also tying up with the institutes, good MBA institutes across the country, so that this area of deficiency which we are having, that also is done away with. And apart from that, as Brij Bhushan ji said, that it's a course which is meant for for students of middle class. We have a lot of success stories across
Oh, yes.
across this course which we have. We had recently, we had a daughter of an auto rickshaw driver who he was a topper of Chartered Accountancy across the country. And apart from that, there was a blind lady who also did this course. So we have, this course is actually, whoever is dedicated to do this course, they can come ahead, and definitely you'll have a lot of your life is full of opportunities if you go with this course. So with these words, I would like to thank the team Finthink, who have CA Sanchit Agarwal, CA Rohan Goswami, and CA Nakul Saraf, our team member, who has initiated this program. And we are always we at J&K branch of ICI, we're always welcome to all the queries of all the students, whoever. We are always available, and you can just contact us anytime, anywhere you want to go. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So I have shared the contact details of our honorable speaker and Brij Bhushan ji. I have shared my number also, and I have shared the number of CA Nakul Saraf, who is a representative of J&K branch of NIRC of ICI. If you have any queries, you can definitely reach to us. We are there to solve each and every query of yours. Now I would like Rohan for vote of thanks.
Hi everyone, myself Rohan Goswami, CA Rohan Goswami, co-founder at Finthink, and on behalf of my team, I would like to take this opportunity to extend a very heartfelt thanks for this session to our speaker, CA Brij Bhushan sir, for sharing his knowledge and guidance on the CA course. CA is one of the most challenging field nowadays, and I believe that the guidance and the experience shared by CA Brij sir would help students who are aspiring to become a part of this esteemed fraternity. He has extensively explained us why CAs get so much respect and repute in our society. So, sir, your words would definitely inspire the students to pursue this course. Thank you so much for your time. And I would also like to thank CA Lalit Kumar Gupta, Chairman of J&K branch, CA Shailya Rajdan, Executive Committee member, and CA Nakul Saraf, Secretary, for supporting us and collaborating with us for making this seminar successful. And at last, I would also say that the audience has been exceptional, because without a disciplined and extremely engaged audience, this webinar could not have been successful. Thank you all for attending. And
Thank you.
We at Finthink strongly believe that knowledge grows when it is shared, and that's why we conduct these kind of seminars for our students, so that they are available of the opportunities, so they are aware of the opportunities available to them. So stay in touch with us for more informative sessions, and you can follow us on Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. All the details are shared in the chat box. We have shared our session on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can follow us there, and you can share it with the students who could not join because of lockdown or any other reason. So thank you so much for your presence. Stay home and stay safe, and do not forget to fill the survey form at the end of this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.